and Craig Smoak.
Jake Hatch, who covers Brigham Young, covers Utah, covers many things at university and also pro sports in Utah for KSL Radio, will join us here momentarily. Jennifer Smoak, Fantasy Football League guru, will join us. And if we're late for her segment at 5:30, hell hath no fury. So Jake will join us here in just a moment. I just sent him a text. Paul tried to get a hold of him.
I got him.
And got him? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I thought you said you were calling him.
I had a weird number that I called it.
I just thought you didn't want to have him on the air.
Oh, no. We'll talk about what happened at KSL earlier this week.
Not if it involves what I think it does. Jake Hatch, KSL, covers Utah, covers Brigham Young. Gotten to know him quite a bit since all the stuff started, really, with Brigham Young and the Big 12. Jake, thanks for your time. How big a week is it right now, you think, in Provo?
Oh. Well, thanks for having me. First off, it is a big week. BYU's got a top 10 opponent coming in for the first time in quite some time with your Baylor Bears coming here to Provo. We're all excited for it, though.
Jake, Puka Nacua, Gunnar Romney, are they going to play?
Mm-hmm. I have my suspicions that one of the two will play. Which one of the two, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Aaron Roderick yesterday said that even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. It'd be a game-time decision. So I think all of us are going to find out around 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 9 o'clock Central Time on Saturday night.
Jake, that was a pretty standard fare. I think what probably most people expected was South Florida. That's a program that's just hurting in a major way right now. What did you gather? What did you glean from that blowout win last weekend?
I think the biggest thing was how efficient BYU was on offense. From the very first play, most of the Baylor fans out there probably saw it. Puka Nacua goes to the house 75 yards on literally the first play from scrimmage. I thought it was a very veteran performance from BYU. They came out, they went to Florida, endured a 2.5-hour weather delay. You never quite know how a team's going to react to that, but it seemingly didn't faze BYU at all. They came out from the jump and just absolutely dominated. And for a first game, that's about what you was. It's not about what you want. It's what you wanted to see from a program like this that's really banking on this year being another payoff season.
Jake, it's still, it's to me, ironic that they started playing last year. That's the year that they end up, everyone finds out they'll be a part of the Big 12. They'll be a part of the Big 12 in less than a year. The fact they're going to play a couple of different times. How is there still a lot of excitement and energy from the announcement they'll be joining the Big 12?
Oh, absolutely. BYU fans are more than ready. In a lot of ways, they actually wish that BYU could have joined the Big 12 this year and competed, because this team that they have this year, led by Jaron Hall and some of the veterans they have on this squad, a lot of BYU fans are hoping to see this squad be able to compete in the Big 12. But, yeah, the energy, the excitement, the overall just good feelings towards being a member of the Big 12, that has not dissipated one bit.
Do you think this will be the favorite rival of the BYU fans once this thing gets started?
I think it's actually going to be right up there. Absolutely. I think forever Utah will always be their rival because the schools are so close in proximity. Who knows what's going to happen with conference realignment if Utah does eventually join the conference, should the Pac-12 dissolve or whatever. But I think that Baylor, just with the religious affiliations of both universities, the fact that, as David referred to, that they've played games last year and they'll be playing this Saturday, and they had a pretty good contest last year, I think it will be one of those games that BYU fans look forward to annually just because of the unique nature of both these universities.
Jake, Jaron Hall, I mean, now entering another season. I think when we saw him last year, we knew he was kind of an up-and-coming guy that still had some things to polish, but the talent was evident. What have you heard about him to just kind of build more of that momentum for the type of year that he can have throughout the offseason?
Well, the biggest thing that he worked on this past year was working on making plays from the pocket and using his arm to attack all parts of the field. That was one thing I think a year ago that he's always had the arm to be able to make all of the throws, it feels like. But the biggest thing was having the confidence to go out there and sit in the pocket and make a play with his arm. He's always had the ability to run with the football, to improvise, that type of stuff. But I think Baylor fans saw that a year ago, even in the loss down there in Waco. He made some plays in that game. But what he has worked on this offseason, he talked about it, is being more consistent, being more accurate, and being able just to make those quote-unquote winning plays from the pocket with his arm.
Where do you think he might end up among the great names? And I know it's still too early to put him up with Ty Detmer and Gifford Nielsen and McMahon and Young and others, but, I mean, is there any talk about he's a part of that conversation at all?
I think it'll all depend on this season. If he goes out, because he had 10 wins a year ago as the primary starting quarterback for BYU, so that's a solid debut season as the guy for BYU. I think if he were to go out and have another 10 or 11 win season, especially looking at the difficulty of this schedule with we saw 4 preseason top 20 teams, Baylor among those that BYU is going to face this year. If he leads the Cougars to a 10 or 11 win season this year, I think he absolutely probably is in that conversation to be in that top 10 of all time quarterback conversation in Provo.
And Smokey left one out. The guy he replaced, Zach Wilson.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hope he's.
Well, see, and Zach's already in that. Zach's already inside that top 10. So he would be able to propel himself into that conversation with one of those big years.
Yeah, that is just every time you think about quarterbacks in BYU, it really is amazing the roster of guys just at that position they have.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing. We have debates every so often about, okay, who is going to join who's the next great BYU quarterback in the pantheon? And it's the question is, well, who are you kicking out? We usually go by a top 10, and the top 5 is absolutely loaded because you already mentioned guys Gifford Neal, Steve Young, Jim McMahon, Ty Detmer. It just the who's who of great quarterbacks in college football history. Well, a bunch of them have called Provo home. So it's one of those eternal debates up here in Utah, but it's always fun at the same time because you can argue all kinds of different angles with it.
So, Jake, how have they gone about, in terms of replacing a guy like Tyler Algiers? I mean, I know the transfer market seemed to pay off last week for them in that regard.
Yeah, they've been high on Chris Brooks, the Cal transfer. You'll see him this week. He wears number 2 for BYU. He had a great debut game last week against USF. He got up to a seemingly slow start, but as the game progressed, in kind of a similar fashion to what Tyler Algier did all of last year, was as the game progressed, it seemed like he got more and more comfortable and stronger. And he actually finished off the game with a 52-yard touchdown run, his first touchdown as a BYU Cougar. And Aaron Roderick, their offensive coordinator, said that Christopher Brooks performed exactly how they expected him to. So early returns are very, very positive there. The question will be, if as he goes up against a far better Baylor defense this week, how much can he contribute? Because USF, that defense was very much in rebuild mode. BYU didn't necessarily know what to expect, and I frankly expect Baylor to be a far stiffer test for a guy like Chris Brooks.
Now, here's my biggest question with this game is we kind of hit the high points on offense, and I think that's what everybody kind of immediately, that's where our eyes go. And with BYU in particular, when you have, Nakua and you have Jaron Hall. Defensively, though, what is the story with BYU's defense in your mind?
Well, I think last year against Baylor, they got absolutely dominated up front, the front 7. They have talked a lot about how being thrashed like they were down there in Waco, it's kind of a wake-up call to a lot of their guys. The coaching staff really got on their defensive line to bulk up. One of the guys, I can give you an example, his name's Josh Larson. He's probably the second string this week against Baylor, but he told me that last year when he was thrown in there against Baylor, he was 260 pounds, and he said that he felt embarrassed by his performance in that, but he has gained 50 pounds in the offseason, guys. And I talked to him during training camp, and I can tell you this much. It was not 50 pounds of eating pizza every day. He hit the weight room hard, and to a man across that defensive line, all of them are back that played against Baylor from last year, and all of them are significantly bigger and stronger than they were a year ago. Well, will that pay off with a better performance? Who knows?
Yeah, I was going to ask if that has to be – one, they've played each other. There's a lot of guys that were a part of that, and they have to be kind of a little bit frustrated with how that went because it was a competitive game. It was more than competitive, but it also was entertaining. But, yeah, it just seemed like Baylor
it was just never fully – it was never really in doubt.
Yeah.
Like it was close there, but it was never really in doubt. That's kind of how I would describe it.
Exactly. BYU, trust me, there's a big payback factor or revenge factor that's going into this matchup as Baylor comes here. BYU, they knew that they were beaten from the jump last year in Waco, and they want to make it far more competitive, if not outright win this weekend.
Jake, Paul's got something he wants to go over with you. I don't know why.
I gotta say, Jake, I don't know if Smokey alerted you to this, but earlier this week I got this text. And I didn't realize what it was. It's from Dallin, who works at KSL.
I got a text from Dallin.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you did. So it says, "Hi, David," which I did not realize. This is Dallin. I'm the producer of Cougar Sports Saturday with Mitch Harper and Matt Beamonte. And he goes on to ask if I would have 7 to 8 minutes to be on the show at 3 p.m. Central on Saturday. Not sure if I'm coming it down. So I said 3 p.m. Central, no problem. And then I quick look back at the text and it says, "Hi, David." I was like, oh, well, this is actually Paul. Do you want Smokey instead? Now, I have done this before, trying to get guests like where you look at a number and it's the wrong guy from the same area.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, no. Yeah, that's fine. Why don't you come on? I would never say this, but here's what Dallin says. And I'm assuming he's a young guy, new in the business. So I want to have this on YouTube forever so he can learn.
Sharp guy.
So he says, Paul, I apologize. And then I thought it should end there. If Smokey is available, we'd love to have him.
Oh.
Do you have his number so I can reach out to them directly? It gets better. If he can't join us, we'd love to have you on.
Well,
I'm emotionally scarred beyond recognition. I'll work through it in therapy week by week. But, it's the, hey, listen, I will ask you the problem if the hotter girl tells me no. Kind of feeling I've got going on here. So we need to let Dallin know that, look,
my God.
if it was like, oh, it's Paul, no, great, 3:00. That's the rule.
oh no. Okay, so Paul, I know Dallin personally. He works on a sister show of mine up here in Salt Lake. I can promise you this: he is going to hear about this. I apologize on behalf of Dallin, but that's absolutely hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious. I know he's a young producer. Everybody makes the mistake. I just thought it was hilarious, and then we were having.
What do you mean makes a mistake?
Everybody. Yeah.
It sounds like a guy that knew what he wanted to me. Yeah.
That's true.
This is how I respond. He said, first of all, we'd love to have you on. I said, I thank you for contacting me. Absolutely sounds good from him. He gave me the date and all that, and no worries, I'll be calling. He seems like a very good young man.
Yeah.
And so I'll be on with KSL. All right. Thank you, Jake. Great to have this game being played. It's already like the second time they played it seemed like it's a whirlwind. We'll hope to see you in Provo one time when we can actually get there. Thanks for your time.
No, thanks for having me, boys. And by the way, congrats on your new deal.
Thank you. Thank you very much, buddy. You've been along the ride with us, too, and you've been one of our go-tos. Jake Hatch, KSL in Salt Lake City. When we come back, Jennifer Smoak.